confidence. Effortlessly, you let them know who is in command. You just that and more. Don't forget it. God worked hard on you for sure. Lexus, Exodus. Shout out to my exes.
Y'all black females out here, y'all don't understand the struggles of being a black man out here in America and not knowing whether or not you gonna make it home to your children every night because of the police gunning you down.
But don't y'all be out here gunning each other down?
Okay, but we ain't talking about that.
Hell, don't y'all be rapping about killing each other in music?
We ain't talking about that either. We can talk about killing each other in rap music, but we don't like the police killing us. Stay on subject, woman.
You brought up your kids. Tyrone, you don't even see your kids.
And then, yeah, I be trying to see my kids. You know my baby mamas be tripping because I don't want to be with none of them, so they be holding my kids from me. You know that.
Okay, but your baby mama saying you don't get them no child support either.
Okay, but I still be going out my way to try to see them.
They live 5 minutes from my house, Tyrone.
That is out my way, woman. See, y'all, that's why we don't like y'all black women's mouths. Y'all run y'all mouth too much. Y'all always bringing up stuff that's irrelevant.
Well, was you cheating on me irrelevant?
I only cheated on you 10 times. You act like I do it every day, bruh. See, that's why we date women of other races, man.
Hey, Booze, hey. It is Lexus Exodus, leader of the Black Woman Exodus. How are you guys doing? Like always, if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe. Please share. Please say what's up to me in the comment section. Say what's up to me in the chat. Hey, y'all in the chat. Thank you so much for tuning in. Also, when you have a moment, please pause this video and follow the backup channel. It is called LexX. That's LEXEX. You can also find a link in the description below. Also, if you have any suggestions or any ideas for any new stories, feel free to share that to me to my Gmail. That is lexusexoduschannel@gmail.com. Also, shout out to my Patreon family. I love y'all. Y'all are so dope. Y'all always show up and show out and show support. Shout out to my Discord family. The Discord chat is always so lit. If you're interested in joining and checking out exclusive content, please, you'll find the Patreon link in the description below. Lastly, y'all, before we get to it, please follow me on Facebook and TikTok. I'm trying to get better about using different social media platforms to connect with you guys. I know everybody doesn't use YouTube. A lot of you guys love Facebook. A lot of you guys really enjoy TikTok. I do too. I be on there way too often. So please, once you have a moment, take a second and follow me on the other social media platforms. That's at Lexus Exodus on all other platforms. This is another installment of my series called The Blackistan Zoo, where we profile the dusty derelicts, crazy creatures, and animals in Blackistan. Tonight, I want to profile the modern woman, y'all. Okay. And I wanted to discuss the so-called modern women because manosphere content creators like Karen Scamios and other red pill content creators like to utilize that phrase as a derogatory term to refer to Black women who are not submissive. So she's supposedly masculine, too independent. She's supposed to be undesirable due to her higher education and her successes and her accomplishments. And they like to call these women PhDs to degrade them, like being smart and successful is a bad thing. So I want to counter that narrative because only a Dusty would ridicule or berate a woman for her accolades and her achievements. You know, so we know that this is really just projection due to their lackluster and these Dusties' dismal lack of accomplishments. You know, they like to denigrate Black women to feel better about themselves. And the reality is today's modern Black woman is absolutely incredible. She is intelligent. She's successful. She's the mover and shaker of the community. She's the most highly educated demo in the country. She's building businesses at an exponential rate. She's carrying the Black community on her shoulders, for God's sake. And if anything, she is an uber independent and ambitious woman and may possess these so-called masculine traits because the men in her community have forced her to. You know, they're failures. They don't protect. They don't provide. They don't problem solve like men are supposed to do. So she has to step up to the plate to fill in the gaps. Okay. So we talked about how men are supposed to protect, provide, and problem solve. So I want to delve deeper into this idea and look at a few examples of modern Black women being forced to do this because the men in their communities failed to do so. So let's look at this first modern woman who became the first woman sheriff of DeKalb County. And shout out to loyal patron FDN who contributed several stories for tonight's show. I really appreciate that, guys. FDN, you made this show so much easier to create. So thank you. So let's watch this and then we will talk through.
It is a historic moment for DeKalb residents. Today, they welcome the first woman who will lead the county's police department. Channel 2 Sophia Choi got the first one-on-one interview with the new chief, who's big on fighting crime with passion.
DeKalb's residents and police are welcoming Mirtha Ramos, DeKalb's new top cop and the first woman to ever hold that position.
Hard work does pay off. I'm here due to my hard work and my ethics. And I think whether you're black, white, yellow, or purple, work hard pays off.
Ramos is a 22-year veteran who rose up the ranks in the Miami-Dade Police Department. She brings with her experience and empathy.
We're here to serve the community. We're here to protect you. We're here to serve you as well.
Ramos says her first priority is meeting the rank and file and letting officers know she's there to listen.
I really just want to kind of come in, look, listen, and learn to see what's been going on, see what's working, what's not working.
Ramos knows firsthand community policing works. She started a youth program in Florida and plans to bring that same compassion and care to DeKalb's children caught in the cycle of crime.
A lot of times what they're doing is due to the fact that they may not have other options as far as other activities they can participate in. How can we distract them? How can we divert their attention in a positive way?
DeKalb's CEO told me he really wanted to hire someone with a diverse background because this county is so diverse. Already, people are showing that Southern hospitality by reaching out to her, including Atlanta's police chief, Erica Shields. Ramos says she wants you to remember her face as someone you can count on and trust.
I believe trust is a big component. If the community doesn't trust you, they won't work alongside of you. And I don't think this is something that we can combat on our own.
Ramos starts on November 4th. In DeKalb County, Sophia Choi, Channel 2 Action News.
Welcome to town, Chief. We were curious about how many local police departments have a woman as police chief. We reached out to the Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police. They did all the homework for us. We found out, look at this, in local departments, we found at least 6 women chiefs in Metro Atlanta besides Atlanta and DeKalb. Pine Lake.
Look at that. 6 female police chiefs. And guess how many of them are Black women? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Y'all, I cannot. Okay, so this is incredible. So we see that Black women are being the movers and shakers in the community. They're striving to repair the community. They're being forced to even protect the community because their counterparts don't. So while they're making all of these incredible accomplishments, this is what the modern man in the community is doing. Shout out to Jai who shared this story with us. Also, major shout out to loyal patron Indigo who shared probably about 70% of the stories that I'll cover tonight. I appreciate you, sis. Thank you so much. So let's watch this.
4 children and their grandmother found inside a Lancaster home. The children's father is now under arrest. Eyewitness News reporter Christian Cordero is live in Lancaster with what we've learned so far. Christian?
Day here at this Lancaster neighborhood. We have seen some people come out here to watch investigators, some to grieve over a community changed and 5 lives lost, the youngest, an infant. In Lancaster today, neighbors stood fixated on a house built 2 years ago, a home to 4 children and their family. Investigators behind the tape fixated on what went wrong.
This is an ordinarily safe neighborhood to be in. A lot of people bring their families here because it is safe.
Oh my God, yeah, that's our neighbors. Like, you know, we've seen them play outside with their kids before.
Police believe around 10 Sunday night, this man, who Eyewitness News has learned is 29-year-old Jamarcus David, shot and killed his mother-in-law, who was in her 50s, and 4 children, all under the age of 12. We're told the kid's mother, also the daughter of the woman killed, called 911 minutes after her life changed.
My babies are gone. My babies are gone. So we were all really surprised.
Officials have not yet told us who the victims are, nor have they learned why this happened. David turned himself in within an hour.
You'd have to be, in my opinion, in an extremely dark place. And this is something that We'll never know the circumstances of why this happened, but it's can't imagine doing this as a human being to another human being, especially children.
David is being held under a $2 million bail. He's expected to be in court, in Antelope Valley Court tomorrow.
Do y'all see the stark contrast between the modern woman and the modern man here? Okay, so this fool, this dumb Dusty, ended the life of his mother-in-law and his own 4 children, y'all. So he's over here terrorizing the community and terrorizing his own damn family. Meanwhile, we see these Black women here making strides, becoming police chiefs, and making incredible accomplishments. That woman worked on the police force for 20 years and actually became the damn sheriff just to protect her community. So all this manosphere talk about women being masculine, well, look at the dynamics of the community. Look at the dynamics of Blackistan. Dusties are actively destroying their communities. They are not only passive when it comes to protecting it, they are actually actively destroying it. So the women are having no choice but to step up to the plate to repair and protect it. You know, and women shouldn't have to, but their counterparts are useless. So they're out there doing it themselves. Okay, so I want to keep going because we know men are also supposed to be providers. Other groups of men understand this and they are out establishing infrastructure and are collecting assets and building economies. And we know, contrastingly, Dusties lack resources. They don't know how to build. They don't know how to build infrastructure or economies. So the modern Black woman was left holding the bag, like always, and had to become providers within these communities themselves. So let's look at this next modern woman who is a self-made billionaire. So let's watch this, and then we will talk through.
I know the name Pat McGrath, but she's a lady of color who's behind every great made-up face in any fashion show in the world. She's helped everybody launch their makeup brands, and I want to congratulate her because her own brand was just estimated to be worth more than $1 billion.
Yes. And her makeup, her line is absolutely incredible. The pigments and there's a color for everyone. It's just really well done.
It's called Pat McGrath Labs, and if you don't know it, it's really quite wonderful makeup, and bravo to her because she really from nothing.
Y'all, that's not all. So let's look at this next modern woman who turned $1,000 loan into $1 billion business. She is so dope. Let's watch this.
My business literally started with a fax machine, a phone, and my contacts. I started at the front of a rug shop. I wanted a really classy address, but I didn't have classy funding. So I borrowed $900 from my mom. That gave me about $1,500 to start my business with. My mom raised 11 kids, one mom, one dad. She taught us many of the principles of making lots from nothing. And the way she worked with us really taught me so much about not only how to build my business, but how to sustain and innovate across the platforms that I work in today. My personal life mantra is never compromise who you are personally to become who you wish to be professionally. I've had many opportunities over the growth of my business to make decisions that, while they would not have been illegal, they would not have been constant with who I am and how I like to practice business. And they, candidly speaking, could have fueled the business a little faster financially. But I always had to go back to how I opened my doors. And I opened my doors with a commitment to myself.
This lady is incredible. And we actually have an Act One staffing agency here where I live. And I had no idea that that organization was founded by a Black woman. Okay, so these women are freaking incredible. We know that Black women have ingenuity. We know how to make $1 out of 15 cents. In this case, this woman turned $900 into $1 billion business. Meanwhile, this is what the modern Dusty is doing. And shout out to John C., who shared this next story with me.
I want you to take a second. Look at this video here out of New Jersey. Tonight, Plainfield Police and the Union County prosecutor hope you can help them get some violent robbery suspects off the streets, as you see there. News 4's Jackie Beckford has the latest.
Yeah, 4 attacks over the weekend alone, but activists say they've counted as many as 35 since May. This is what Carlos Perez looked like on November 9th. His face battered and swollen.
He's still bruised on his eye socket as well. He's still injured. He's still in pain.
He's still healing from the wounds inflicted by a group of robbers investigators believe are targeting Hispanic men in Plainfield. The Union County Prosecutor's Office releasing these videos of 4 such attacks, they say, all happened just this weekend. In one video, 2 people pummel a victim, ripping his pants to get to his wallet. Possibly the same 2 robbers seen here, hitting and chasing one victim before he escapes into a minivan. In another, 3 robbers from a Range Rover beat, then drag a man to the ground. And in the 4th, 2 people exit a Mercedes to attack a man in front of a restaurant, while a 3rd man watches. Police believe the cars used by the robbers were stolen.
They beat everybody up. And I have people who have a broken face. I have another person who have broken arm and shoulder.
Carmen Salaverrieta, a Plainfield activist for 40 years and founder of Angels for Action, says the victims are usually undocumented day laborers, paid in cash, attacked as they walk alone to or from work.
These poor people walk in the street, they don't have a car, most of them are walking.
The prosecutor's office says the robberies could go back to the spring. Carmen says victims began contacting her for help in May and haven't stopped.
SLEs happen twice a week, 3 times a week.
On top of that, she says the victims don't have insurance and are stuck with hefty hospital bills. She's hoping to get the word out to raise awareness so that possible victims take precautions.
I ask them for the alarm. Let them know to be careful.
And again, the group Angels for Action urging anyone who may have been attacked in Plainfield to come forward regardless of their immigration status. In Plainfield, Jackie Beckford, News 4, New York.
This is just terrible. I want to freeze frame it back to the guy who had gotten beaten up, who is Black and blue as a result of these Dusties. Let's see if I can find his picture. Here we go. Okay, so this is just awful. So Dusties are out here targeting poor immigrants and elderly old Hispanic men for a few pennies. And I'm going to ask y'all again, do y'all notice the stark difference here, y'all? Okay, so here we have Black women being the most educated demo groups of people in the country, starting businesses at an exponential rate. We just saw 2 women who have been able to create billion-dollar businesses, and these niggas out here robbing old immigrants. Okay, so this modern woman turned $1,000 to $1 billion, y'all. And these fools is beating up old men. And it's a well-known fact that undocumented immigrants are paid pennies for the work that they do. That's why nobody else wants to do it. So these fools ain't even getting ish for doing this bull crap, for robbing these poor men. But this is your modern Dusty, y'all. These are your modern men that like to criticize modern Black women who are the movers and shakers of the community, who are out here making strides and making incredible accomplishments, and who are out here building businesses and collecting assets because the men won't do it. Okay, so let's move on. So we know that men are expected to be leaders. That's just an innate a part of masculinity. We see other groups of men doing this all the time and assuming leadership positions, becoming judges, congressmen, politicians, and policymakers. But there are none within the Black community, virtually none. These leaders are non-existent. So women have been forced to do that too, and to carry the community on their shoulders and assume leadership positions. So I want to share with you guys this story of the new CEO of Walgreens. So let's watch this and then we will chat.
Walgreens tapping Starbucks Chief Operating Officer Roz Brewer as its next CEO. That will make her the only Black woman to lead a Fortune 500 company. Shares of Walgreens jumping in the pre-market. Right now, that stock's up by about 4.25%. Kate Rogers joins us with more. And Kate, this is important because this is a woman who definitely understands the consumer very well.
Becky, that's very true. Good morning. Roz Brewer will be leaving Starbucks at the end of February to become CEO of Walgreens. Now, she'd been at Starbucks since 2017 as COO, working closely on the company's transformation and new store formats, including drive-through, pickup, and mobile order and pay, also streamlining the customer experience. Prior to that, she was CEO of Sam's Club. Brewer will join a very short list of female CEOs at Fortune 500 companies, and as you mentioned, also will notably be the only Black female CEO of the Fortune 500 company. Challenger Grant Christmas reports that more women have come into the CEO position in 2020 than any other year. I recently spoke with Brewer about whether or not Starbucks would be mandating vaccines for workers just about 2 weeks ago.
We're going to do everything we can to impact and improve the distribution and execution of the vaccination process. And that's most important, to get the entire community vaccinated and to make sure that everyone understands the importance of that.
No decision yet on those mandates, but vaccines obviously top of mind, both in her work at Starbucks and as an Amazon board member, companies who are working with Washington State's rollout efforts. Even as she leaves both of those positions, she's now, of course, stepping into a role where vaccines and equity will continue to be a key part of the job. Becky, back over to you.
Okay. I also want to review this next news clip about Missouri's first Black congresswoman. So let's watch this as well.
She's calling this a night to remember for this historic win. She tells us she's getting used to her new title as Congresswoman over Missouri's 1st District, making her the first African-American woman to represent the state of Missouri in Congress. Now, here is the video of her shortly after calling this race, again leading the polls by 80%. She defeated Republican Anthony Rogers and Libertarian Alex Furman. She says this win was for the community that she represents. Bush, who was once homeless, a nurse, then turned activist, and now Congresswoman, says her being elected is what the people of St. Louis wanted.
St. Louis did this. Like, that is the thing that is that means the most to me, and that has me like in this place in my head. It's like St. Louis did this. St. Louis said this is what we want. It's just amazing. I feel like the doors just swung open for so many Black girls and Black women to do anything, you know.
And she campaigned hard for this position, having to battle COVID-19 early on this year and dealing with social distancing restrictions with the pandemic. They had to reevaluate their campaign strategies, but ultimately, she says they were able to cover a lot of ground, and the people of St. Louis again have spoken. She says once she's in office, she plans to represent the working class. In North County, Ashley Lincoln, News 4.
Okay. And meanwhile, this is what the Dusty leaders are doing.
But first, disgraced former city council president Charles Pugh is back in court today and hearing from his accuser. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. All morning, Charles Pugh has sat silently in a Wayne County courtroom, shaking his head at times, looking down at the floor, while his accuser testifies about how the former TV anchor sexually assaulted him years ago. Jason Colthorpe joins us now live in the newsroom, has been listening to this testimony. It's graphic and very disturbing at times.
Exactly, Rhonda. Extremely graphic testimony in Charles Pugh's prelim today, as his accuser testified about those sexual encounters with Pugh from 2003 to 2006, beginning when he was just 14. You heard, of course, you mentioned how Pugh just shook his head, and he never once looked at his accuser. And he mostly shook his head when the accuser testified about Pugh admitting that what they were doing was wrong. Listen to this. This is testimony about what happened after their first sexual encounter.
Is he saying anything at this point that you can recall?
At this point, he's saying, you know, wow, that was good. You know, don't tell anybody what this, or don't tell anybody.
After the second sexual encounter that was a little more graphic, he also said the same thing that Pugh said, don't tell anyone, this is very wrong. And he also testified the last time he had sex with Pugh was in 2005 when he was 16. On that day, he confronted Pugh, asking if he regularly did this with young people. He said that's when Pugh got upset, and after that day, communication stopped. Now, testimony is going on right now. Our Jermont Terry is in the courtroom. He's following this. He'll have another report at 5 o'clock, but you can watch on clickondetroit.com as this happens. There are some key motions that have been introduced right now, and our lawyers are arguing those as we speak. Rhonda?
Well, speaking of the lawyers, let's talk a little bit about Charles Pugh's attorney. Did she try to disprove anything that the victim said?
She has gone after the accuser pretty hard here, asserting that he's only come forward now because he wants a payday. The accuser denied that. And also that she tried to make it very clear that he was a willing participant during their sexual encounters, which he agreed with. But of course, he was also 14 and 15 and 16 at the time. Wanda?
All right. Well, we are continuing to live stream that testimony, correct, at clickondetroit.com?
Going on right now, yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, y'all. So modern Black women are becoming leaders of Fortune 500 companies. I just showed you guys a few, but we can also add to that list of Black women who are leading Fortune 500 companies. Rashida Jones, who was just named president of MSNBC. Jeff Bezos just added Alicia Bowler Davis to his trusted list of Amazon advisors. Also, Melody Hobson is the first Black woman to recently serve as chair of the Starbucks board. So Black women are killing it. Modern women are killing it. You know, we also saw this woman become Missouri's first Black congressman. Meanwhile, the Dusties get in leadership positions and they run amok like this fool. They get all power drunk and take advantage of their positions of power. This one was sleeping with little boys, for God's sakes.
Exes. Shout out to my exes.
Hey, y'all. It is Lexus Exodus, leader of the Black Women Exodus. If you didn't know already, Black women are beautiful. Black women are intelligent and incredible. Black women are phenomenal and make great wives and mothers.
I want to speak to your manager.
Black women should be respected and deserve to be loved.
Hey, shut the fuck up.
Black women deserve to be treated like human beings at least. Listen, guys, if you're like me, you are so tired of your favorite Black female content creators getting harassed by the trolls, silenced on social media, and censored by YouTube. We work so hard to stand up for Black women, and although YouTube allows us to be regularly berated, ridiculed, and degraded by dusties every day on the platform, as soon as we say one word to clap back, we're threatened with channel violations and are told to be silent or we will have our platforms removed. The biased algorithms, inconsistently enforced policies, and persistent trolling on YouTube is unacceptable and needs to stop. If you agree, meet me over on my Patreon, where you will be able to access completely raw, unfiltered, exclusive Lexus Exodus content. You will be able to access uncut, uncensored, and ad-free content, 2 bonus videos a week, access to the private Discord community, and much, much more. So meet me over on the Patreon at patreon.com/LexusExodus. The link is also in the description below.
Shout out to my exes.
Y'all, okay, so let's keep going. So we also know that men in other communities are known for problem solving. That's an innate attribute of masculinity, being able to provide solutions to problems. Unfortunately, Blackistan men lack basic problem-solving skills and critical thinking skills, so the modern women in the community have to do that as well. So let's look at this next story about the lead scientist who developed the Moderna vaccine to help combat COVID.
We're back with a woman who is history and a hero, Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett, one of the scientists who played a key role in developing the Moderna coronavirus vaccine. She's a senior research fellow at the National Institute of Health's Vaccine Research Center, and there she is. Doctor, thank you so much. I'm saying thank you because that vaccine you developed in my arm. Thank you for that.
Thank you for getting vaccinated.
Absolutely, I will. Do you think we're doing better? That was a big concern, and we're still seeing some of that hesitancy, in particular with the African-American community about the vaccines and getting the vaccines. There was a big push of yours. Is it getting better, that hesitancy going away a little bit?
Well, you know what, TJ? I actually like to change the narrative a little bit. And instead of calling it hesitancy, I call it vaccine inquisitiveness. And you know what? It is getting better. People have questions, but they are seeking the answers in the right place. And we are seeing high turnout with getting the vaccine. And so we're all hopeful.
Well, that is a good way. I'm going to start using that. No more hesitancy. So I'm going to follow your lead. You're part now. You all are now putting the Moderna vaccine through trials against the South African variant. Is that what you're seeing? I don't know what you're seeing so far, but are you hopeful of the news that's going to come out of that?
We are absolutely hopeful. You know, it is all a part of pandemic preparedness, the same way we did this very quickly in the onset of the pandemic last year. When we see these variants and they are becoming a concern, we certainly want to be able to test that in full in humans and in animals. And so we're doing both of those, both in collaboration with Moderna and the NIH. And we're very hopeful for the outcome, especially as we've seen the efficacy for the variants in trials across the globe.
How long are these vaccines going to last? We got some good news from Pfizer that maybe at least 6 months give you protection. It'll continue to be studied, but Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, what should we expect? What do you expect? How long will they have us covered, if you will?
Well, you know what? Time will tell, but I will tell you that Pfizer data is certainly promising, particularly around the mRNA vaccine candidates. And you know what? We're about a year plus into the phase 1 clinical trials. And so we have had peaks at the antibody responses, and we aren't really concerned just yet. And so we're all just hopeful and very excited about getting this vaccine into as many arms as possible.
This is your work. This is what you do. But we were in a much different place a year ago. Tell me, Dr. Corbett, how are you doing, and what has it been like to watch us get to this point now where we're still talking about that light at the end of the tunnel, and finally it's not a train coming at us? What is this like for you to sit here now? Look, I know you're not going to toot your own horn. We will toot that horn for you, kind man, but you are absolutely part of the group responsible for right now saving the world. Just what's it like for you to see where we are now?
Well, you know, I'm honored, actually, to be able to watch it both from the inside and as I've been vaccinating now and I'm a little bit at peace. I am also very honored to be able to watch it from the outside, to be able to see this vaccine go into arms that we've developed with the team at NIH. It is just, I'm proud of this moment and hopeful for the outcome. And you're right, the light at the end of the tunnel is shining ever so bright right now.
Dr. Corbett, have you done anything for yourself? Taking a vacation, taking a break?
I have. I actually went to see some of my vaccinated friends, and I'm looking forward to hugging my grandmother and just looking forward to the future in general. I certainly will be taking a break when we get over this variant hump and taking some vacation time.
All right. Dr. Corbett, I cannot say it enough. You are absolutely one of the heroes responsible for literally now, in a lot of ways, saving the world. Thank you so much for what you've done in your work, but thank you for being an advocate and putting your voice out there and making sure people are educated, because they have vaccine inquisitiveness, not a vaccine.
Inquisitiveness.
Yes, there it is. Dr. Corbett, good to see you. We'll see you down the road, all right?
My pleasure.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Meanwhile, this is what the damn dusties are doing, y'all. You can't make this shit up.
And a resident is behind bars tonight accused of trying to sell 125 million coronavirus face masks that don't exist to the VA. As our Bobeth Yates tells us, the deal was worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and he was caught right before a check was cut.
Yes, officials say Christopher Paris committed wire fraud when he attempted to finalize a $750 million deal with the VA for coronavirus masks he didn't have.
You've heard people talk about this being a war of sorts, and
And if it's a war, then this guy is basically committed treason.
The guy is 39-year-old Atlanta resident Christopher Paris. According to information released from the Justice Department, Paris attempted to sell millions of non-existent respiratory masks to the Department of Veterans Affairs in exchange for a large upfront payment.
During times of crisis and chaos, people look to try to take advantage of the systems wherever they can. So when I saw this, I was just like, yep, this is exactly one of these opportunities that we know unscrupulous people will take to just try to defraud.
Paris has been charged with wire fraud for allegedly sending a series of fraudulent misrepresentations in an attempt to secure orders from the Department of Veterans Affairs for 125 million face masks and other personal protective equipment, totaling over $750 million. But Owens, who's a veteran and a cybersecurity expert who's also running for U.S. Congress, Georgia's 13th congressional district, says this is not the only attempt he's seen of people trying to profit from the pandemic.
Since the coronavirus has really taken off here in the United States, we've seen a huge uptick in the number of cybersecurity threats and attacks really that's been launched, not only against American companies, but also against individuals as well.
The Department of Justice says they're on the lookout for other coronavirus scams, and they're asking the public's help in reporting suspected fraud. As for Paris, if found guilty, he could face up to 20 years behind bars. Fighting for our vets, Bobette Yates, CBS 46 News.
Make sure you reach out to us here at CBS.
Y'all, and let me actually pull up this fool's mugshot. If you notice, they didn't show a picture of him. I noticed they don't do that in a lot of these news articles because they don't like to call a thing a thing. They don't want to be accused of being racist and depicting these men as criminals when they actually are. But let's pull up his mugshot. Here's the damn Dusty who tried to swindle the VA out of hundreds of millions of dollars, pretending that he had face masks that he didn't during a damn global pandemic. Okay? So again, do y'all see the stark contrast? Here we have this doctor here, this Black woman who is beautiful, who's intelligent. She is literally developing cures for the global pandemic to combat it. Meanwhile, your modern Dusty is thinking of a master plan to scam an organization that helps veterans, the VA clinic, for God's sake, out of hundreds of millions of dollars during a global damn pandemic. I cannot, y'all. This is laughable at this point. I've said this before. This is another moment where it's just, to me, it's like, it feel like I'm kicking the kid that ride the short bus. Because these fools are just remedial as hell. Just degenerate. Just foolish. This don't make no damn sense. But this is what I mean. Because Dusty's like to denigrate Black women for not listening. Oh, you have bad attitudes. Oh, you're masculine. You're not submissive. You're not being traditional. But in order to get a traditional woman, you need to be a traditional man. Meaning you need to protect, provide, and problem solve like men are supposed to do. Collectively, these men aren't doing any of those things. So the women have to step up to the plate and fill in the gaps. Quite frankly, you need to be thankful that these women are carrying your community on their backs, Dusty. Child, that's all I got. All right, y'all. Until next time, see you guys. Bye.
fellas, if y'all come across a red iPhone, you can please bring it to the sound stage. Red iPhone, appreciate it.